58, I wasn't lonely. That surprised people. It irritated them even. As if grief was supposed to look a certain way. Hollow eyes, unanswered phones, endless tears. But loneliness wasn't what I felt. What I felt was loyalty, devotion, a quiet responsibility to the love that had already lived its full life. So when a stranger sat beside me on a bench I'd claimed as sacred ground, I didn't expect conversation, and I certainly didn't expect my heart to wake up. My husband Tom had been gone for 2 years, 3 months, and 11 days. I knew the count because grief has its own calendar. It doesn't care about holidays or birthdays. It measures time in absence. My habits are broken. In moments when you still turn to speak to someone who isn't there. Tom and I were married for 34 years. We met at 23, both pretending to know more about life than we did. We built our marriage slowly. Arguments over paint colors, Sunday budgets scribbled on the backs of envelopes, burnt dinners we laughed through, and long, quiet evenings that didn't need words. We lost a pregnancy early in our marriage. We didn't talk about it much, but it lived between us in soft ways. How Tom always lingered near the baby aisle. How he held our daughter with reverence when she finally arrived. Cancer came quietly, politely, like a guest who knew he wasn't welcome but stayed anyway. It took Tom slowly, but it gave us time. Time to forgive old arguments that no longer mattered. Time to say the things couples often assume they'll get around to. Time for me to memorize the weight of his hand in mine as it thinned but never weakened. When he died, I was holding him. When the room went silent, I made a promise to myself. I will never love again, not out of bitterness, not out of fear, but out of respect. Life after Tom wasn't dramatic. I didn't fall apart. I didn't retreat from the world. I functioned. I packed away half his clothes, but left his flannel jacket on the hook by the door. I cooked for 2 out of habit. I walked every morning. I slept on my side of the bed, untouched by the empty space beside me. People told me I was being so strong. They didn't see that strength was simply another form of carrying weight. On Tuesdays, I went to the botanical garden. That had been Tom's idea years earlier. He loved flowers because they bloomed without permission or apology. After he passed, the garden became my sanctuary. Same day every week, same time, same bench overlooking the roses. That bench wasn't public to me. It was a memory. So when I arrived one Tuesday and saw a man sitting there, reading, I stopped short. He looked up immediately. "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize someone else usually sits here." Usually. The word softened my irritation. "I do," I said. "I usually sit here." He stood up without hesitation. "Then it's yours. I can move." Something about his immediate willingness to yield disarmed me. "No," I said after a moment. "You can stay. I just wasn't expecting company." He smiled gently. Neither was I. We sat, not awkwardly, just quietly. Like 2 people who understood silence didn't need filling. After a few minutes, he closed his book. "I'm Daniel." "Evelyn." "Nice to meet you, Evelyn." I didn't ask why he was there. He didn't ask why I came every week. That mutual restraint felt like respect. We talked about nothing important. The weather, the roses, how benches should come with warnings about how long people end up sitting on them. When I stood to leave, he didn't ask for my number. He didn't suggest coffee. He simply said, "I come here on Tuesdays too, same time." I nodded once. "So do I." I told myself it meant nothing when I thought about him the next week. But grief has a way of recognizing hope before the mind allows it. Daniel was there again. Same bench, same book. Week after week, our conversations grew naturally. Books turned into memories. Memories turned into shared understanding. We spoke about adult children who lived far away, about houses that felt too quiet at night, about the way loss rearranges priorities without asking permission. The third week, he said, I was married once. I waited. She passed away 6 years ago, a sudden aneurysm. 1 minute we were arguing about dinner plans, the next, she was gone. I didn't say I was sorry. I said, that kind of love doesn't disappear. He looked at me for a long moment. No, it doesn't. That was when I realized this wasn't flirting. This was recognition. Still, I guarded my vow carefully. When my daughter noticed I was dressing nicer on Tuesdays, I brushed it off. When she teased, "You're glowing, Mom," I changed the subject. I wasn't ready to explain something I didn't fully understand myself. One afternoon, Daniel asked, "Would you like to get coffee sometime?" My chest tightened. "I don't think I can," I said honestly. "I'm not there." He nodded immediately. No disappointment, no pressure. That's okay. I expected him to disappear after that. He didn't. The next Tuesday, he was there like nothing had changed. "I'm glad you came," he said. "So am I," I replied, surprised by my own truth. Then came the first real twist. One Tuesday, Daniel didn't show up. I told myself not to read into it. People miss days. Life happens. But the next Tuesday came and went. So did the one after that. I tried to tell myself I hadn't lost anything because I had never claimed it. But loss doesn't care about technicalities. When Daniel finally returned 3 weeks later, he looked thinner, tired, older somehow. "I owe you an explanation," he said quietly. "You don't owe me anything," I replied, though relief washed over me. "My daughter," he said. "She was in an accident. She's okay now, but she needed me, and I wasn't sure if it was fair to keep showing up here while my life was so uncertain." I nodded, swallowing emotion. "I'm glad she's all right. So am I." There was a pause, something unspoken. "I didn't want to start something I couldn't be present for," he added. That honesty made my chest ache. The rain came the night everything shifted. I almost didn't go to the garden. The sky was heavy, matching my mood. But habit carried me there anyway. Daniel was under the covered walkway, coat damp, hands folded. "You came," he said softly. "So did you." The rain forced us close, the air thick with unspoken truth. "I need to tell you something," I said suddenly. He waited. "I promised myself I would never love again," I said. Not because I didn't want joy, but because I didn't think my heart could belong to two men. Daniel exhaled slowly. "I'm not here to replace anyone." I met his eyes. "That's the problem. Love doesn't replace," he said. "It expands." Something inside me cracked, not broken, but softened. For the first time since Tom died, I cried in front of someone who understood why. Daniel didn't touch me until I nodded. When his hand wrapped around mine, It didn't erase my past. It honored it. The second twist came from my daughter. When I finally told her about Daniel, she was quiet for a long moment. "Mom," she said gently, "are you sure you're ready?" Her question hurt more than I expected. "I don't know if ready exists," I said, "but I know I'm alive." She nodded slowly. "I just don't want you to get hurt." I smiled sadly. That ship sailed a long time ago. Still, doubt settled in. For weeks after that, I pulled back from Daniel. Shorter conversations, canceled plans. The emotional distance I pretended was caution. Finally, he asked, "Did I do something wrong?" "No," I said. "You did everything right." And that scared me. We stopped seeing each other for nearly 2 months, not out of anger, out of fear. I returned to the garden alone, missing him more than I wanted to admit. On the anniversary of Tom's death, I sat on the bench, tears falling freely. "I didn't want you to be alone," a voice said softly. Daniel stood there, uncertain. "I didn't think you'd come," I whispered. "I didn't think I'd forgive myself if I didn't," he replied. I leaned into him for the first time without hesitation. We took things slowly after that. Coffee turned into walks, walks turned into dinners, dinners turned into long conversations about what we were afraid to want again. The first time Daniel came to my house, I warned him about the flannel jacket. "I don't expect you to move it," he said. "It's part of your story." One evening, months later, I caught myself laughing in the kitchen, really laughing, and guilt washed over me. Daniel noticed. "You don't have to apologize for joy," he said. "He loved you. That means he wanted you to live." That night, I folded the jacket carefully, not to erase Tom, but to make room. At 58, I learned something no one tells you. Love after loss isn't betrayal. It's a continuation. And the vow I thought I broke, I kept it, with honesty, with respect, with a heart big enough to hold more than one great love. Sometimes love doesn't come to replace what was lost. It reminds you that your heart survived. Just say the word, we're locked in.